most was the own breath, other breath. Being present to my own breath, and yet being able to stay present to somebody else's breath at the same time, which of course goes into the practitioner side of it. But when we're meeting people, being able to stay in your own breath is again that non-judgmental. So how can you be judgmental when you're in your breath and allowing them their breath? No wars if everybody did it. But we are in our own breath, and whatever you do is fine. Whatever the other person does, whatever anybody does is fine. It's okay. It is. It is what it is.
The effect of that, of even getting a glimpse or a taste of that for the business people that I work with, not only when they're doing presentations or public speaking, but experiencing themselves or considering themselves as a leader of people. The idea that they have somewhere to rest, like in class yesterday, you said, your home. This sense of resting in themselves allows that, what you just said, that possibility that your attention can actually be over there, with curiosity. What do these people need right now from me? And there's this possibility that we can receive another person because we're receiving ourselves. And it creates a completely different channel, like you said, of what a communication might be. Because we're not trying to make anything happen. We're just curious.
Well, own breath, other breath, in terms of acting and performing is really important because you have a tendency to pick up the other person's rhythm.
Yes.
And so again, you don't have to teach or recognize or point out. If I've been practicing, I sense my inhale, the movement of my inhale, my exhale, my pause, and I sense the changes in it, and I have a sense of yours. And then I recognize when I sync with you, because there's those moments when I have the same, but that I recognize that, then you don't have to work so hard to stay in your own rhythm. Because you sense it, it's there, it's not an idea.
And you're listening. You're listening to the other person. You're actually paying attention. You're not thinking, what's my next line? It's you're there. You are in the moment, and in the now of what is happening right now in our own breath. Being able to stay there and just sense what is going on, and not be, how many people are in the audience, or what's happening here, or what's going on there. It's a wonderful experience for them when they get that. My students. And it's also wonderful for myself when I'm able to do that also. Just sit, just be.
And and there's this the fact, and the truth is, and you started talking about this before, is that it's ongoing, right? This is something that develops over time. And the thing about the work, a lot of it, and what, those challenging times of having to say in this, is it's bringing what's unconscious in ourselves into consciousness. It's bringing those habits that are there, just that we do unconsciously and run us, and our tensions that we're not aware of. When we start to allow the breath, those sensations are starting to, that we weren't present to, that we weren't conscious of, are becoming conscious. And then we get to dialogue, as opposed to fix them. We have to actually dialogue with them for a while, and not so much get rid of them, but really invite them in and see what that is, the information that comes from the wisdom that's already here within our bodies, coming through into consciousness and being able to be understood from a place that's not trying to figure it out, but it actually, the information's there. And then allowing ourselves to participate, to experience it, to feel when we tighten, to feel when things soften, to actually be in our lives with that type of exploration and discovery. So over time, that the breath sort of keeps, like, it's a funny thing to say, but it calls to us.
Yes.
Right? It'll call and say, you're not breathing. Something, or, oh, I'm used to that. What am I doing? Oh, I'm just doing. I'm not even present in what I'm doing. I'm just now unconsciously doing something. What would happen if I was just a little more aware here? So it's this ongoing journey that we get to be curious with, and it's it's fascinating as to who we are as human beings and who I am in relationship to other people. And it's just this, so our lives become richer, my experience, but my life becomes richer and easier and much more compassionate, not just for others, but for myself. And so it really, and I think that's what you guys were responding to when I was first starting the exploration. That it's not like I feel like I became a better person, and it's not like I was this horrible person. It's just that
being a better person.
no, it was that there was just so much more of willingness and acceptance and pleasure. I was having more fun. Even with the lousy, awful stuff, there was still more possibilities. So it was just, I felt like there was just more possible. Yeah. And that because when did I start this? I started in my 50s. I started at 50, I can't remember, maybe I won't go there. But it was like, for me, this is the latter part of my life. What am I going to do? How can I keep exploring and teaching and having energy and dynamism and all those things? That's not at the beginning, it's towards the, to my 60s and 70s and 80s possibly. What can my retirement be? And this has become, okay, I don't have to stop. This is like my retirement, because I'm never going to retire. But how can I keep exploring this?
Well, that is such an amazing thing to have this renewal of something new to bring to my teaching. And not just something new, but a foundation and something that I've been giving words to, but I didn't have the forms. And the forms and the tangibility of place your hands here and feel your breath movement. That's all you have to say. Place your hands here and feel your breath movement. Oh, I feel this, I feel this.
The lifetime of chatter telling me how many ways I'm not doing stuff right, and constantly actually being surprised at the connection between being aware of this physical sensation of my breath moving brings joy in the back door.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Without having to manage all that stuff that I would say most of us carry. The fear and the anxiety and the law-making and the criticism that goes on in us as human beings, in me as a human being, and still. And yet, if I give myself the gift of a few seconds of just sensing this breath moving in my body, suddenly, completely different planet I'm living on all of a sudden.
Yeah. And it seems amazing, but when you think that this is really, when we're not breathing, we're dead. So this is really our aliveness. And so what are we touching? We are touching our aliveness. And when you sense the difference in the breath movement, you're sensing your aliveness in response to that moment of living. And our bodies, we have this amazing physical structure we're in, whoever we are, but the spirit, this life spirit, the physical structure we have does long for ease. And as you were speaking about thinking, well, so does the mind. And so this practice, the mind says, oh yeah, this is a lot easier. I think I'll tune into sensations instead of all this thinking I've been doing. It's exhausting. I mean, what What are you?
But the experience says, it actually gives you that experience of, this is a little quieter. I'm not listening so hard to all those thoughts, and I'm actually feeling better. I'm feeling more space. I'm feeling more at ease. And so, because like you said, this wants ease. So as their body starts to experience ease, it's like, oh, I want to hang out here. This is really nice. And again, because we're not looking at our breathing, it's the sensation of the movement that's there everywhere, three-dimensionally, in the substance. I want to get some of those words in there. But that we're experiencing ourselves as a three-dimensional being, that we take up space, that we have substance, that we are present not just to this, but also to the space around us and other beings who are the same, who are, that possibility is there. And we connect, since we think about, if you think about it, this substance that we live in is breath, the air, the atmosphere of the earth is part of the body of the earth. We live in breath. So we are constantly sharing and connecting to other people through this medium of breath that's in us and around us, and that connects all of us. Yeah.
As you speak, it's clarifying for me in terms of how we used to teach voice work, that what would I do? Breath comes into me in order to speak. However, if I'm in this sensation of the movement of my breath, and I am sensing myself as a responding human being, then I sense, instead of I need to breathe to speak, I'm already sensing this breath movement, and I'm responding to the moment through my voice.
Which is already here.
It's already there. I went like that, through my voice. That's the other thing. I am in the middle of my breath, and I'm in the middle of my voice, which is so different than, I have to project my voice.
Yeah.
And even though we used to have other words around it, this is a practice that makes it tangible. My voice is here, it's resonating in my body.
And when you bring that to singers, or because that is not about getting this voice out of you, but that it's letting that breath in. It's the voice that's already here that the breath finds, and it comes out through the whole substance, the whole dimension of you, three-dimensionally. So it takes away the effort or the push and the desire to get, or that sound is high and it's somewhere outside of me and I have to get it. So you reach for it. So instead of pulling out of you to get something or going to someone else, you can be here and receive it and bring people to you. And it's an amazingly different experience.
I have a story.
Okay.
The other day, I'm working with a client. He's practicing his speech. And we work with the idea of the nose that's doing the breathing is in the middle of us. And I had suggested that to him, and he was entertaining that possibility. And at a certain point, it was just this gorgeous sound just comes out. And I said, "Did you sense that?" He said, "Oh yeah, I was feeling my nose." We both laughed.
But it's so simple. It's not like this hidden thing that that you have to study your lifetime to get. It's already here. It's already here. And
Well, it's anatomical.
Yeah.
Because the sense of the breath, we used to teach the breath comes into me and then the breath goes out of me. So as a performer, when I was sensing that I was speaking, I was thinking of sending my sound out, and so my whole consciousness would be outside of myself. And so we're teaching that the voice is everywhere because the voice resonates in the body. So then with this practice, you're sensing the movement of breath, which anatomically is everywhere because the ribs move out, your lungs are here, the lung tips move out. There's a sensation of movement of breath up here that moves up through your head in this more subtle way. The diaphragm drops down in order to receive the breath, and so there's compression. And so there is breath movement. There is the body responding to the movement of the diaphragm through the body. And so if you're sensing the movement of breath, then that's the trajectory of the voice. I don't have to change from, okay, this is how the breath works, and this is where your voice resonates, then you've got this sensation of this movement where you're feeling your voice. And so you're not trying to get it somewhere, it's here. And so am I in that breath response. So I can respond immediately with my action, my intention, the
Just have
response
to
of the
push.
content.
Yeah.
I mean,
Those
there's
things
still
also-
work to do.
Yes, but that ease of not having to instigate a push or something to get it out, that the power and the force is here.
Mm-hmm.
That will, that you know, in your knowledge and what you've learned as an actor or a singer, that you actually find more ease with that.
Yeah, I'm sensing my response all the time,
Yeah.
and sometimes I speak on it, and
Yeah.
sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
But I sense that response every
Yeah.
moment.